my gosh, you guys are in for a treat. I don't even think you realize what kind of treat you're in. We have Alison Shutz from LinkedIn. You actually work at LinkedIn.
I do. I've worked here for 2 years now, 2 different capacities, but had a lot of fun along the way.
What do you do there at LinkedIn?
So at LinkedIn, I'm a relationship manager, and I manage our customers, some of our largest customers in the key accounts group, and the relationship between LinkedIn and our sales solutions platform, which is Sales Navigator, a platform built for sellers, account management, anybody with a quota to better use LinkedIn data to target, understand, and identify customers and prospects.
Fantastic. Now, Alison, let me tell you about 3 problems people approach me with regards to LinkedIn that we'd love to get your perspective on. So problem number 1, I'm a college student, maybe I'm at the University of South Carolina, and I want to land my dream job, and I don't want to be just another cover letter and just another resume in a sea of cover letters and resumes. So that's bucket number 1 we're going to talk about. What do I do and how do I leverage LinkedIn the best way that I can if I don't know anything? Bucket number 2 is I'm maybe have a job or maybe I am a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a salesperson, and I want to expand my audience and my reach because I know that the more reach I have, the more opportunities I have. You know, Sarah Groats is really great at this. She has a tremendous amount of followers. She produces some great content. And opportunities come to her because she has reach. And I feel pretty strongly that reach is just as an important currency nowadays as money. And back in the old days, you'd have to get on ABC or CBS to get reach. Nowadays, you can get your own reach. So that's number 2. And then number 3, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of how do I connect with people and network, again, to expand my reach and opportunities without being that person that sounds all icky, salesy, and gross and swarmy. So that's what I'd like to start with. Let's actually start with bucket number 1, which is I'm looking for a job. Maybe I'm a new college student. Maybe I'm actually getting antsy. I read some stats, 60 to 70% of people are on the lookout for jobs always. I know at LinkedIn that never happens because everyone is super happy there, but other than LinkedIn, so what do you see as the 2 or 3 mistakes people typically make with their profile that prevents them from having some of these opportunities?
Sure. I would say probably the number 1 mistake is not having it fully filled out. It's the easiest thing. If you're a college kid, you're a millennial, and you know how to work the digital space. If you're not a college kid and you're in the market later in your career, just make sure everything is filled out on LinkedIn. It's not only a chance for you to better control how people consume your background, what you do, what you want to do, but also having everything filled out on your profile, having a picture, having a background image, having your headline and your summaries filled out. It's a way for you to show up higher in search results. So if somebody is searching for somebody with these particular skills, by having those particular keywords filtered into your profile, whether in your summary or your experience or in the keywords at the very bottom, you're going to show up higher in a search result. So not having it filled out is probably the number 1 kind of mistake that somebody can make. It's an opportunity, again, for you to control what people see and know about you when they Google your name.
It's interesting that you said that. I was interested that you said that because I just finished reading a book by Keenan, who's author of Not Taught. And he personally, his HR department doesn't look at people if they don't have a filled out, completed LinkedIn profile. Like you're not even in the running. So we're talking about the bar here. Obviously, that's not going to get you the job, but we're talking about just table stakes here. And when you say everything, specifically, we're talking about like your summary, there's different parts, I guess you're talking about.
Yeah, I would say, everything is what you should strive for. If you're like, I don't have time to do all of this, my recommendation is at least start with the top half of your profile. 60% of our user base is viewing your profile on their mobile phone, and they might not scroll down to the bottom of your profile. So make sure you've got a nice professional looking photo. It doesn't have to be a glamour shot taken by a professional camera, but something with a neutral background, something where your hair looks nice, you're dressed appropriately, no one else in the photo. And also there is a little line at the top of your profile, which is going to pre-populate your current position. If you're a student, it will say student, whatever you have listed lower in your profile. If you're a consultant, it will say consultant at ABC company. And you have the actually ability to edit that and make it say whatever you want. If you're looking for new opportunities, actively looking for new opportunities in XYZ industry. If you're a sales professional and you're looking for a new prospect, you can say a quick line on how you support your customers. And in my instance, it would be driving modern selling into enterprise sales organizations or something like that. That's an easy snippet of what you do, how you provide value, or what you're looking for. So just make sure that top half of your profile is up to date, filled out. But in a nutshell, anywhere on your profile where you see a little pencil is something that you can edit. So make sure that you take time to edit that. If it's too cumbersome for you to do it, my rule of thumb is pick one section of your profile a week. And on Sunday evening, before you're getting ready to dive into work the next day, edit that, make sure it's up to date.
I want to agree with you a little bit on this headline thing. I want to agree with you a little bit. It's interesting. A lot of the sales reps that I work with, their headlines look like they're searching for a job, not serving their customers, right? So if you're a sales professional and your headline says account executive at Acme, here's a nice little template, and I'd love for you to chime in here, Alison. We help blank with why, right? So if I'm a sales consultant, I help entrepreneurs and VP of sales book more meetings with their dream customers. So what do you do, for who, and how do you make their life happier? If you're a college student, rather than saying you're a graduate, which maybe is great for your mommy or daddy, what can you say that serves the person that you're trying to reach? So I am looking to help these types of companies do X. I'm a specialist in this area. This is what I learned. I think that's a super key thing and a mistake that I see all the time in headlines. Alison, what's your perspective there?
No, that's constantly. I think about that headline as if you were in the elevator with the CEO of your organization or some big shot in an organization, and they ask you, so what do you do here? You're going to say account executive, or what kind of job are you looking for? Oh, I'm a graduate. Provide some value. Put the what's in it for me or the why does this matter into that headline. It's an easy change, and somebody that's looking at your profile for 10 seconds is going to get a sense of if you're a graduate, what job you're looking for, or if you're a salesperson, what kind of customer or prospect that you support.
Love it. And by the way, guys, we hear value all the time, and I have another word for it. Like, what would make the person that you're working for happier? Figure out what makes them happier by looking at their job description. Maybe talk to some people. What are they subscribing to? What are they reading? What podcasts are they listening to? You got to get inside the head of the person that you are trying to make better. Because if you can make them happier, they'll want to be around you. But if you're self-serving and you're talking about yourself and your college graduation stuff, that doesn't really serve and help make anyone happier. So step number one is figure out, like if you're a college student graduating and you're selling to CMOs, what do you know about being a CMO? Probably nothing. But how can you get to know about them? Follow them, subscribe to Ad Age, talk to some CMOs, get into their world, and then craft a headline accordingly. Okay, awesome, Alison. So other than filling out the profile, I'm looking for a job. What other things are problems that you see?
So the next biggest problem, which leads into our conversation perfectly, is using your LinkedIn profile as your online resume. LinkedIn has become much more than that. It's a place where not only you can keep people up to date on what you're doing, search for jobs, search for customers, also network with folks. And if you have just your straight up bullet points of what you do or the straight up kind of results that you've had, if you're a salesperson, especially saying you've made it to club 9 out of 10 times, et cetera, you're really missing out on an opportunity to kind of connect with people on a deeper level. Josh, what you said is so wonderful. How are you going to make the people that are looking at your profile happy? If you're looking for jobs, be specific on what type of things that you're looking to do, what kind of role that you're looking to establish for yourself, or what kind of people you're looking to help. If you're a sales professional, that profile should be 100% crafted through the lens of the prospect or the customer that you have. Your prospect customer doesn't necessarily want to know that you've made it to President's Club year over year. As a customer of yours, it doesn't necessarily make me feel warm and fuzzy, but they do want to know that you support these types of customers, and here are the amazing things you've done for those customers. And not only will that make your current customers happy, it'll make prospects feel validated that you are a valuable player in a potential relationship.
I love that. So not what you do, but what you do for someone else. Those things might sound similar, but they're completely different approaches. Like on my LinkedIn profile summary, if you guys hit it up, it says this, and Alison, you might like this. It says, I don't kiss and tell, but my clients do. And then I actually have some blurbs of what they said that made them happier. And how did I get that? I asked them. You could do this too. And you could just ask your customers, how did I make you guys happier? What was your life like before? And how is it better since you've been working with us? And you just take that language literally and you kind of paste it in there.
I love it. If you think about, a lot of people come back to me and say, well, what if I am looking for a job as a salesperson? I've crafted this profile to be what makes my customers happy, but what if I am looking for a job? How are people going to know that I made it to club or that I exceeded expectations? Having your profile through the lens of that customer and through the lens of that prospect is going to make you very attractive to other sales managers who see, wow, this person has taken the time to really build their profile to help sell themselves and their company. I'm going to ask them for their resume, where you can have it littered with how you've exceeded quota, but use your profile to market yourself and your organization.
Love it. Love it. What else do we have in bucket one? Other things that you see with regards to people that are trying to leverage their profile to strengthen relationships, attract new customers, or to sort of land jobs?
Everything filled out is probably the number one thing. The headline is the number two thing. Make sure, this sounds really simple, and this is something, if you're listening to this, you can do right now as you continue to listen to this, is look for a background image that's going to tell a story. By default, it's just going to be kind of a random blue background image, but keep in mind when people are looking at your profile for 10 seconds, how much more some sort of image can serve up your message, whether it be the logo of the organization you're working for or the city that you're doing business in, to immediately let that person know, doing business in New York, Georgia, et cetera. Or if you've spoken at a conference recently or some sort of kind of thing going on at your company, use that background imagery to support your message, to support your company, to support what you're trying to communicate.
Love it. So yeah, in mine, to make this crispy, in mine, I have my background image is me speaking at a conference because I'm a speaker and a consultant. One more thing I wanted to get your perspective on, Alison, in this that I've been doing and I've been advising my clients on is to also put a call to action in your summary. Like for instance, mine is, if you want a free consultation and some new perspectives that'll help you be happier in this way, click here and it goes to my site where they can click a Calendly link and actually book. I've also have free resources that they could sign up for. I have links to what are called lead magnets or pieces of content they could subscribe to. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm glad you brought that up. The summary is really important. Is your opportunity to kind of tell your story about what you're passionate about, how you got to where you are in your career so far, and kind of where you're going or how to contact you. I always recommend maybe keep this 3 paragraphs or less with a combination of those things. I think either as a salesperson or a student, having some sort of what you're passionate about, how you got to where you're going, a nice story around your career, add some personality in there. And especially if you're looking for a job or looking for prospects, having an easy way to contact you is key. You want to make it as easy as possible for the people who want to contact you about a job or about a sales opportunity to get in touch with you. So say if you don't prefer to give out your email address or phone number, say throw me an email on LinkedIn, or connect with me if you're interested in chatting about XYZ. But definitely, again, make it as easy as possible for people to contact you is a great way to increase the chance that they will.
Love it. Okay, bucket number 2. I now want to build my brand. Now, why would I want to do that as a salesperson? Let me give you my 2 cents here. Your brand is yours. So your job might come and go, but the more people that are looking at you like you're a baller, like you're awesome, and the more reach you have, the bigger your audience, the more opportunities you're going to have. So when you announce, hey, I'm switching gigs or I'm looking for some stuff, and you have a huge reach, you're just going to automatically have a ton of opportunities. Now, Sarah Groats, who you guys don't follow, if you should follow her. She left her last job, and within about 20 minutes, because her reach was so big, she had her pick of other opportunities to be able to go after. If you don't have that, this is what happens. You have no online presence, you have no reach, and now you're stuck in this idea of having to send resumes and cover letters. So I want to talk specifically about how you can use content, write content, because that could be scary for people. I'm not a writer, to start to build your reach and your audience. Alison, some thoughts there?
So I think it all comes down to using content to establish yourself as an industry expert. And it doesn't all have to be professional content. I think the rule of threes is what we talk about here at LinkedIn. One part should be about your current position or the specific solution if you're a salesperson you're working on. One part should be about industry news in general, specific to the industry you're working in. And then the third part is maybe something fun, maybe something, professionally driven, because this is LinkedIn, this is not Facebook. So something professional, tips for working in an open environment when there's noise everywhere, things like that. And doing that is just going to kind of establish your presence on LinkedIn, especially if you are in a specific industry and you're constantly posting things about that industry. You're going to pick up the networks of people that like it. It's going to be shared to their network, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to make you look like somebody that's worth having a conversation with those specific topics about. And it's just an easy way to expand that reach.
Yeah. So a couple other thoughts along those lines as well. One of the things that I would also suggest is, what are some of the top questions that your prospects or the people that you want to be around with are asking about? So Quora, right, is a great example. If you go into Quora, you can kind of see what's top of mind for people, read some of the responses, and then steal like an artist. I'm not saying you copy and paste it, but you get the gist of it. Maybe you have your own perspective and you write it in a certain way. If you look at some of my posts, I always start off with a question. Have you heard this objection before? We don't have a budget, not interested. This is what I just did yesterday. And then I have a perspective on how to address that, which is something that's top of mind for the people that I serve. The good news is when you're first starting out, no one's reading your stuff probably. So get in the daily habit. Consistency is key here. Get in the daily habit. If you're in college, what experiences are you having in school? Mm-hmm. Just get in the habit of flexing the muscle. If you want to work for a VP of sales, why not reach out to a VP of sales and say, hey, I have a LinkedIn show on what's top of mind for VP of sales, what they're looking for college grads. And you get on Zoom like we're doing right now, and you interview them like what we're doing right now, and you publish it to LinkedIn like what we're going to be doing after this show. And you could just reach out, and then you could have it transcribed. You could turn it into a post. If you just got into the habit and flex that muscle, right, Alison?
Yeah, I love that. And I'm glad you brought up kind of what do I talk about. I use the questions that I get from customers all the time to feed my posts. The last 2 or 3 posts that I've done is, hey, I got this question for a customer, or I often get questions about this. So I'm sharing content with everybody because I think it will be helpful to more people. And then in terms of the cadence, you mentioned, posting often, get in the habit. I constantly get feedback from people that say, LinkedIn changed your algorithm. I didn't get any likes on this post. What's going to happen? You're not always going to go viral. I know that we want to be seen and that, everybody likes the content we have, but a lot of times you're going to have a couple of likes, but it's building the consistency, consistently doing something in the right way that's going to make the difference. If you got to put yourself on some sort of schedule, I recommend sharing at least 3 times a week, changing up the medium. Sometimes it's your own post. Sometimes it's sharing an article. Sometimes it's sharing a video. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays tend to be the best days to share on LinkedIn. It's when most people are on LinkedIn looking around at it. And if you want to get even more nitty gritty, HubSpot tells us that the morning hours, 7 to 8 a.m., midday hours around lunch, 12 p.m., and then after hours, 5 to 6 p.m. tend to be when most people are on LinkedIn, checking things out, maybe on their commute home while they're having lunch, et cetera. So you could increase your chances of getting views on the content that you're posting around those timeframes.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, and I think the key takeaway here is getting in the habit and flexing the muscle. And even if you're just writing about your experiences initially of what you're doing during the day, if you're a new SDR, Morgan Ingram was awesome at this, right? He was an SDR, and what he did is he shot videos of what he was learning as an SDR. And he created the Morgan Ingram Show or podcast, and that guy now is working for John Burroughs, who's one of the top sales consultants in the world. And he would never have had that opportunity if not for the content that he produced and getting that reach out there. So do get in that habit of trying to post once or twice. And again, with likes, just because someone doesn't like it doesn't mean they don't see it.
Correct.
So, keep that in mind too. Okay, so now how do I start to invite people? Because I'm posting this content now, and just in case you guys don't know how this works, and if I botch this, please let me know. I want to invite people into my network that are the people that I want to help serve. And so when they log into LinkedIn, if we're first degree connected, they will start to see my content on their feed. So part of this is I have to now start to invite people that are my people. So Alison, how do I go about inviting people that are my people without being all swarmy and gross? Because I get these requests all the time that are weird, or sometimes people don't even message it. They just like connect, or sometimes it's
Yeah.
weird. So talk to me a little bit about that.
I'd say as a general rule of thumb at LinkedIn, if you don't know the person, you've never met the person, you've never chatted with the person, don't send them a connection request. I think when LinkedIn first started, when any of these social media platforms first started, it was a numbers game. I couldn't wait to get to my 500 plus connections to be thought of as important. And now I have all these people in my network that I'm filtering out one by one because I'm like, I don't have any idea who these people are. It doesn't need to be a numbers game. Your network is your net worth. So connect with the people that you know, or connect with the people that you want to know. If you don't know the person, never talked to them, but you want to get to know them, do not send them a connection request with the text that's pre-populated for you that says, I'd like to add you to my network on LinkedIn. Create some content around that. That's why you think connecting would be beneficial, because you both work in a similar industry. You're both a part of the same professional networking group. You know, you can be a part of groups on LinkedIn, or something that provides some intel as why you want to connect to them. And then the first thing you shouldn't do after they accept your network request is message them and try to sell them something.
Yeah.
If you've connected with them sight unseen and you want to message them, say, hey, I noticed on your profile you have yourself listed as XYZ. I'm sending you this article because I think it will be interesting to you. Because on your profile you have listed as that. Nurture that relationship before you go into the kill. Otherwise, to your point, Josh, it seems swarmy and like you've got an ulterior motive.
Go in for the kill. So let's get tactical. I'm going to share with you what I do, Alison, and I get about a 68% acceptance rate on this approach, right? So now we're talking about, we write articles. We're writing posts, not articles. I'm writing these posts. They're like little, single line things. I'm not a great writer, but I'm just kind of doing these posts on questions that are top of mind. And now I have some content, right? So in my request, I might say something like this. Hey, Alison, notice that you're VP of sales over at X, in Florida. As a former VP of sales, I often write about things that are top of mind. Just wrote this post on X. If you think it's interesting, check it out. Would love to connect and see it pop up on my feed from time to time. And because I'm sharing something that is hopefully going to make them happier or teach them something that they didn't know before, I always say, make someone a little smarter. I get about a 68% acceptance rate on something like that. So Alison, your thoughts on how to use content, even from an invitation perspective?
So I love that. I think what stuck out in what you just said about your approach, and a sales leader recently told me this and it really stuck with me. I am sending you this because this. Give a reason why you're sending it to them. Because I know your organization that I see you work for is in charge of XYZ, or this has been mentioned in the news, or because I see on your profile that you're in a position where you might find this interesting. And that helps you get around, hey, this might be creepy, hey, this might be intrusive, but you are sending it because there is a reason.
Yeah, why you now. Love it. So now here's another perspective I want to get. Someone now likes one of your posts, or they comment on it. But they're not connected to you yet, or they are connected to you. What's the protocol? Like, someone liked something, or someone commented on something, either their first degree connected or their second or third degree. Let's play the second degree angle first. What would be your approach if you notice someone liking or commenting on something that you wrote?
Well, it depends what I'm getting out of it. If I'm a sales professional and I see that a CFO at an organization that could be a good prospect liked something, that is an alert that they might be interested in it. And I think that is fair game to reach out to them, send them a connection request and say, I am connecting with you, would love to include you in my network because I saw you liked my post, and I'd love to share more types of this content with you in the future, or for you to be able to see more things that I post in the future by being in the same network.
Love it. I use this phrase, notice you were peeping my post. And I wanted to connect with you. Looking forward to seeing you pop up on my feed. I also, if someone comments, in addition to always responding to comments, because that's an effort, that I'll also direct message them as well if I'm first degree connected. Something else I want to get your perspective on, instead of just being reactionary and waiting for people to like and comment on your stuff, every day I try at least once to go out and like someone's post or comment proactively on someone's piece, unless I just am not feeling it, which is very rarely the case. Some people that are producing some amazing content on LinkedIn. What's your perspective on that in terms of giving and not just waiting to get?
I think it's massively important. If you are a sales professional and have access to Sales Navigator, and you've got all of your prospects and current customers saved up in your feed, I would spend 5 minutes every single morning going through and seeing what your contacts and prospects have posted. If it's something that's interesting, comment on it. Go ahead and like it. Doing so alerts the person that you've commented or liked their post, and suddenly your name is more familiar to them when you reach out 2 days later. It's an easy way to market yourself to people and kind of get into their psyche. And it's high touch, easy to do. And it's also, if you're constantly consuming the likes and the comments and never giving it back, it's leveled differently. And people might take notice, say, hey, this person, I'm always engaging with their content, but they never engage with mine. And it could cause some uneasiness there. So I think having a healthy balance of doing the both, just for good measure. And of course, if you're a salesperson, always keep track of what your customers' prospects are posting.
Love it. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is the ask, right? So at the end of the day, a lot of people are on LinkedIn, especially if you're in sales, or even if you're not in sales and you're trying to land a job. Eventually there has to be like an ask. Clearly, if you're top of mind and you're producing interesting content, when there's a need, you will be top of mind. But that's sort of, you're passively sitting back. What's the approach from your perspective, Alison, with regards to the ask? And maybe that ask is, well, let's just leave. I don't want to even pollute the question, but I have an ask now. How do you approach that?
So two different kind of ways to go on this. If you're a new college student looking for jobs, keep in mind doing all the things that we've talked about for the past 20 minutes, because 70 to 80% of jobs are not published, that people are constantly potentially hiring for their team. So the why behind doing all this is because there are potential jobs out there that would be a great fit for you that you haven't seen on the job board too much. And you might be the first person to be thought of because you have such a great profile and because you have posted things and are looking like this active kind of industry expert. So the ask is, if you come across the profile of somebody where you're like, wow, they are a leader at a company I'm really interested in, or they have the job that I want, is start to engage with that person, high level, light touch. Maybe it's by posting things and you see they comment on your content, or maybe you connect with them because you're interested in something. I think for job hunting, looking and asking for people's advice on how to do that is easy. I think everyone loves to help other people. It makes them feel intrinsically good about themselves. So a light touch ask to message someone and say, hey, I'd love to connect with you because I'm looking for a position at your company, or because I'm looking for a position that's very similar to yours. And I'd love to kind of keep in contact or be in my network so I can see what you share and vice versa. Or take it a step further, if you maybe have a common connection or you see some other kind of warm path in to engage with this person. If you've got time, sometimes when things slow down for you, I'd love to pick your brain for 15 minutes on your career trajectory and kind of seek some advice from you on how to break into that particular industry.
Yeah, a couple things on that I'll piggyback off on. So rather than just picking someone's brain, because that could hurt, give something back. I would love to share with you some perspectives that college students have going into the job market. I'd love to learn what you're up to at this company that's on my radar. Love what you guys are doing. Now, here's a key little trick, guys. When you're on this call with someone maybe high up in the organization trying to get their perspective on the company, and you're sharing some things as well, ask what the number one challenge or problem is that the person you want to work for is having, and then go away and come back and say, I've been thinking about this problem and I've got some ideas on how to solve it, and then actually solve the problem in a subsequent meeting. And you may create a job for yourself. No one did this. Again, I keep bringing her name up, but it's just fresh in my mind. Sarah didn't wait for a job posting to work at Banff Media. She lurked in a Facebook group and she actually started doing project work to be able to prove herself. She ended up lining up meetings with CEOs for the founder. And they were like, wow, dude, this girl's actually doing stuff, doing projects. So if you could find problems and proactively bring something to the table, that's huge gold stars.
I love that. That's a great idea, and shows proactivity and shows that you have initiative to be at that level of working with that person perhaps in the future.
Alison, you have said it all. So much, girl. Is there anything else you want to leave our viewers with? And by viewers, I mean my mom primarily, but other people that might be watching this. You want to say hi to my mom, obviously. Judy, here's her name.
Yeah, hi Josh's mom. Hi Judy, nice to meet you. I think I'll leave you with a couple more tips on the side of sales, how to make the ask. If you're going to make the ask, definitely give back to that person in terms of what they're potentially looking for at their organization, what you've seen at other organizations work really well, and be as customized as possible in your outreach from a sales perspective. If you've got someone, a common connection, throw the name of that person in the subject line or the first few sentences of your outreach to them. Make your message from a sales perspective as much about the person you're reaching out to and as little about you as possible. Earn the right for that person to respond to you. Customization is key in trying to build relationships with people you don't yet have relationships with. And I guess the last LinkedIn tip that I'll leave everybody with, this is little known, Josh, maybe this will stump you, although perhaps I don't think so, is make sure on your LinkedIn profile you have a customized URL. You actually have the ability to go in and say, he says he does, yes, he's got it, of course. Go in and change your LinkedIn URL instead of linkedin.com/mumble jumble of letters and numbers that looks like your mom's password for your Wi-Fi at home. Instead, make it linkedin.com/Josh Braun, Alison Shutz, first name, last name, et cetera, something like that. Going to bump you up higher in search results. And also you can use it in your signature. If you're a student sending out your resume for jobs, or if you're a salesperson, nice, clean in your signature there. Little known fact, you can do that. Maybe we can provide a follow-up link on how to make it happen.
Love that. And one thing I'll just piggyback off on what you said with regards to the sales ask. This is an idea that I just started doing with myself and my clients, which has been really awesome, is my ask is, hey, I'm doing this webinar on X, Y, and Z, the 5 problems or the things that you might not know about, this thing that might make you happier. There's tons of headline secrets you can Google on LinkedIn about webinar titles, and BuzzFeed is a great example of that, but solve a core problem or a pain they have, 3 or 4 tips, and then bottle up a webinar pre-recorded, use Wistia or a similar technology. And in Wistia, when you send people to the link via the message, they pop their email address in, they opt in, they watch your evergreen 7, 8 minute, 10-minute thing. You send that email address to your email marketing thing, whether you're using like ConvertKit or MailChimp or Outreach, whatever it is. And then you can drip out subsequent pieces of content to them off LinkedIn because they've sort of opted into this other thing. And then you're really top of mind. You have a question a week, a question a month. So when you're top of mind, they're shopping, you're like right there. So that's another way you can do an ask without asking for a demo, because most people aren't shopping to buy something when you reach out to them most of the time. I do these seminars, raise your hand if you're buying a car, 200 people in the room, maybe 4 raise their hand. That's like your prospect, but they're usually open to learning about problems or what other people are doing to be happier. And if you can provide some content and teach people how to be smarter, they'll lean forward and opt in and put in an email address.
I love it. Perfect. Perfectly said, Josh.
All right, Alison, thank you so much. If they need to get a hold of you and they want to ask you some more questions, I mean, what do? They do something like difficult, like go on LinkedIn and find you? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, slide into my in-mail messages, as the kids say these days on LinkedIn. Would love to connect with you. That's the kids. Slide into my in-mails. I think that's what they're saying. Would love to connect with you. You could say, hey, I listened to your podcast with Josh Braun, and because of that, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn and be a part of your network. I'd love that.
Thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you, everybody.